I've been feeling vibes all day. I've been feeling vibes all night. Let me breathe and meditate. Elevate, is that alright? It's energy. Vibes, 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 energy. Vibes, 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 energy. Vibes, 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 energy.
Hey, what's going on, good people? It's your girl T Hardaway.
And it's Michael Basile.
Yeah, and we are the Did It for the Hood podcast.
Indeed.
Coming back once again with another wonderful guest as per usual. We miss you, we love you, and today we have a special guest with us. We're going to delve back more into the arts, but a little bit more of the business of the arts. We have a producer, a label head, a collective head, and basically an all-around innovator and visionary. Y'all give it up for Stuart Innis.
Thank
What up,
you,
man?
thank you. I appreciate the proper pronunciation too. That was blessings right there too.
I do my best, you know. I do my best. How's great out here, you know?
Yeah.
So, so first of all, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate you. So
Thanks
first
for having
started
me.
off. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna start it off with tell us your story.
Well, you know, my story is like everybody else. We're light beings out here, you know, trying to make it. I'm from Brooklyn originally, and had a passion for production. And and one day I just woke up and started pursuing that. And you know, it goes from there. So it's a way more detailed movie from there. But that would be like the trailer of what you're about to see of like this life, you could say. So still writing the book in real time.
So did you always have a passion for music, or did it strike you, or?
Yeah, you know what's crazy is one of my first EPs I did you want to put people to have you want to have skits and stuff on there. So I had people just like kind of say stuff, let them just say something, some memory or something of when you thought about me doing music or something like that. My sisters was interesting because for me, I always knew what happened, but I don't have the outside perspective of what somebody was looking at, why this kid would do X, Y, Z. So for me, one of my first things I asked for that I could even remember that I asked for as a gift was the LL Cool J cassette tape. I was like 5 and 6. So that just always was like a good memory for me. Like, yeah, I used to love that shit, whatever. I thought that was normal. But in the skit, when my sister sent it, she said, yeah, we should have known when he was 5, 6 years old asking for music. You know, most kids ask for toys. And I was like, wow, damn. So I never looked at it like that. So it's like, wow, this stuff is like, how far back does it really go? And then around like 4th, 5th grade, I was making mixtapes. I was sampling on off the radio onto tape, naming it and taking it to school. Yeah, naming it and taking it to school, and I probably sold one tape, you know, but I tried, and I would make these different tapes. I never stopped making mixtapes from 4th grade to about 18, 19. I would cut up my own versions of stuff and put my own projects together off people's music, cut the parts I want, do my own skits. Then we started learning how to record actual audio off of DVDs. So I started putting movies, skits in there and like calling them like Matrix 1, 2, 3, and like putting all these quotes and stuff in there. And it kind of became a battle between me and my boys. We'd have these mixtapes that we would actually even like talk shit about each other through the skits and find ways to chop each other's name in there to be like, fuck Bounce. Like my boy name was Bounce. They'd be like, fuck Bounce. And like, you know, shit like that in there, like from 2 different things. But yeah, from there I was creating probably like 15. I saw an interview, with Swiss Beats. And I didn't know what the fuck Swiss Beats was or a producer or anything. I was writing rhymes. I never thought about making music. I was doing all that stuff, but I didn't think I would be making music. I was writing rhymes every day. We'd be battling in class and ciphers and all that stuff. But then I saw an interview that was like, the producer Swiss Beats and da 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 da, and like Rough Riders is taking off and all that. I'm like, producer. I watched the interview and I was like, that's kind of cool. And I love the song. And one thing I liked about the song was that the production was different. Swiss had a different sound. So like really stuck out. And it sounds weird, but like one day I was just sitting in my room and was like, man, I think I could be a producer. And I beatbox like 80 different beats in my head. And I was like, because I thought, if you make one track, how do you keep making tracks? How could you keep making tracks? This is before I thought that. I was just thinking about I want to be a producer. And so I said, I'll make a lot of beats in my head. Let me see how far I can keep going before I run out. And I just realized I didn't run out. And I was like, okay, shit, it's all right. When I realized I didn't run out, I just was like, I could do this. But I was 16, so coming from a Caribbean family, that was not like something that was like invested in by them. That's something I kind of had to find myself. One
What was
second, I
that
don't want that to happen on the screen again.
what was that convo like with your people, with your family members?
So my background is Jamaican and Belizean. I kind of say I'm half Caribbean. Everything being first generation is how much they paying you. Some of them have business sense too, but everybody got work ethic. So it's like, but the work ethic comes from proper compensation from that work ethic. They ain't letting you go out there and just work for nothing. So uh, I was being trained to support myself, not to be a creative.
Right.
So I don't resent that, but it was not nourished. I had to find that on myself and then go against the grain until they figured like, is what he really want to do, and he's actually doing good from it, making some money from it. So now I get the support from that and the full investment and all that. But yeah,
But you know what's so interesting about that? I think this just from the outside looking in, when you're talking about like the discipline and the work ethic that was instilled, I
yeah,
think that's also what makes you a good creative, which is
yeah.
crazy.
This is true. This is true. Because you could have an idea, but man, anybody that made something know, man, that's just the beginning. This stuff is tough. It could be tough, man, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff you don't want to do to get to the stuff you want to do.
But
Mm.
even you started young too. Like you was like you said fourth, fifth grade, trying to make a move off of mixtape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, take it to school and try to sell it at the
You feel me?
price that I wanted, all of that stuff. And I
Yeah.
figured if somebody wanted, I could, since I had the one tape, I knew how to dub them, so I could just dub the tape and with my orders.
Yeah. Also, I want to say,
Business sense.
what said again, T?
That's a business sense.
That's literally all I was gonna say. Like you understand the concept of okay, how to actually move the product and do it efficiently. So like, yeah, bro. Like
Yeah, it's
it makes sense.
crazy.
It just makes
You
sense.
just being yourself. You don't actually correlate those things. But I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I wasn't supposed to be in public school. I should have been in art school, but because my parents aren't from here, they don't know the schools.
Mm-hmm.
My mom is like, yo, where we at? That's where you go into school, nigga. Like, I don't gotta pay for this. What are you saying? And the teacher
Mm-hmm.
better not call me. Like, that's all I
Mm-hmm.
know. They don't know nothing about America like that. So they know like if I just filled out a form, he could probably go to an art school and he wouldn't be getting suspended and all that stuff all the time because he'd be actually locked in focused. But that didn't happen. But like you said, the universe works in mysterious ways. It's not that it needed to happen. What happened needed to happen because it's what happened. You know what I mean? Like to me, public school prepared me for like people in society. Really, it's no joke in public school, whether a good neighborhood or bad neighborhood.
You just said
It's
something interesting that I want to touch on real quick. Since you were not in an art school and you were in a public school, did you find it more boring and like get in a lot
I
of
was
trouble from that?
extremely bored and always getting
Mm.
in trouble because of that. Because I was extremely either talkative or detached. As soon as I could find something that would like stimulate, I'd go to that. But I didn't know I was also dyslexic and had ADHD because everybody just telling you focus and stop talking and sit down.
Mm-hmm.
But you just think you're bad, A couple of times in high school that my seat would be in the hallway. The teacher would remove my desk. Yeah, the stuff like that is not even condoned when you think about it,
Hell,
but they would
bro.
remove my desk and
I
put
thought
me
I
in
said
the
that's a
hallway.
violation of something.
I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
there's
that same
plenty of
thing happened to me all
violations
the
that
time.
happen in public school. It's public school, you know what I mean? Like, Yeah, when people paying, they got more say about what's going on, and they find out what's going on. Public schools is you get dropped off, you get babysit. So what goes is what goes at that school. You know,
Mm.
profiling and and it show you right there, yo, people ain't people not really even the people that are not against you, they not a lot of people aren't here for you. So you can't get butt hurt by that. You gotta have to learn how to move. So
Yeah.
I never resent none of those people from school. I just looked at you like you an idiot if you doing something like this to a kid. Like I'm a kid, and you trying to manipulate the situation or control the situation. Like, yo, it is what it is. But
Right.
teachers aren't like that. Teachers aren't like that.
So, okay, so you navigated your way through that system. Did you go to college?
Man, so I went to technical school for a little bit because Caribbean people tell you you got to do something. So I found out about radiology, and hey, they make 60,000 when you come out. So I was like, all right, I'll go to school for that. It's like 2 years. Man, I went for a summer, and I was paying out of my pocket because I was working at Sprint, and on the side I would sell phones on the side, and I was using that to pay for books and all that stuff, and I was paying out of pocket for my classes, and I actually, long story short, got into a fight, lost my job at Sprint, and the universe kind of aligned me with because I was selling phones. I ended up selling phones at to somebody that worked at a dealership, and then they hired me because I like haggled properly,
A car
and that
dealership.
turned yeah. And after I saw my first check, I left like after 2 months of college because I was like, okay, so like I was gonna get out in 2 years. I'm paying for this, and I'm gonna make 60,000 when I get out if I get the job somewhere. Well, I started. Remember, I went to school that summer, so I started at the dealership in August. By December, I made 30,000. So I was like, and in the first 2 months, I was on. I just got a 2 grand for the first 2 months. So,
Probationary check.
so yeah, I just got yeah, that was in training.
Yeah.
So the first 2 months was 4 grand. The rest was 24,000 in that short time span. So I was like, why at 20? Why am I going to school and I'm paying to go to the school to make less than what I just wake up and go make some money today? So I was around a bunch of sharks though at like 2021. There's a lot of like the car business has a lot of felons. A lot of felons, at those salesmen. They can't get other jobs. So a lot of them are crooked or sharp. They don't have to be crooked to be sharp, but a lot of them are super, super sharp. All day, every day is like trying to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, but also if you don't take advantage of somebody, you're not gonna survive or eat or get a check. And that was
Hmm.
like that ended up being my college before I ended up going to audio school.
They got you ready for the real world.
Yeah, yeah. Universe. They knew I was not supposed to be in there learning remedial English. Like, yeah, that's what I was paying for.
It's always strange
No,
how the
not
universe.
remedial. It's not remedial, is it?
What you talking about? Oh, when you do the
It's
preparatory
remedial.
English,
Yeah, yeah, but
yeah,
it's not the real
it's
English
not
class.
remedial. That's after you've done it on the back end and you can't do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
preparatory just gets you ready on the front end.
right, right.
Gotcha. Um. So okay, so you decide you go to audio school. What is your first formal introduction into the music industry?
You mean like how did I land in it?
Yeah, like internship or your first song or whatever was that big first.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of big first mans, but in the industry, I went to audio school, of course, because now it's like hands-on and everything is what I want to do. I graduated top 10 of my class, but I started I know y'all gonna be like tying all this stuff. I started like a fraternity. So they had girls and guys, so I can't say it was a fraternity, but we started a thing called Dead Patch Audio that was basically like the best of the class. We cared about what we was doing, we had good attendance, and it was about like you're about to be the peers that's gonna come in the industry and dead all that stuff. And dead patch meant like when you're patching cables, when you dead patch something, you stop something. So we were saying we were stopping all the Fugazi stuff and dead patch audio. And one of the guys that was really inspired by that was the top 2 in the class. So because he was the top 2, he had his internship before we still had like 2 weeks of class, and he had his. I was top 10, so when I graduated, they started sending my resume out to studios all over the city. That's what you get when you're like high up. But because he was 1 and 2 was already working at their internship. His internship was Jungle City Studios. So he's there, and 2 weeks after he's there, they fire somebody. And so I got all these interviews coming up, and he calls me and he's like, they fired somebody. I was like, what? I'm like, how's it going? He's like, it's good. It's really good. Matter of fact, they asked, did I know somebody that want to get an internship here? And I was like, huh? What? I thought I missed the boat of like 1A, you know what I mean? But he was like, bro, I'm gonna keep it real with you. When they asked me that, it's serious up here. So it's like, when they asked me that, I felt like there's only 2 people I know that's like really serious about this. He's like, I see how you going. So it's you and this other guy named Danny. Danny was our guy too, and he was a part of Dead Patch Audio. And me and Danny did the interview. I really think the only reason I got the interview is because Danny owned a bar and lived in Long Island. And when they asked me, I lied about working at UPS still. I didn't tell them I worked at UPS. I just was like, I'm ready to go. And for 2 weeks, they didn't call me. And then I called them and they was like, yeah, come in tomorrow. And I show up, and for my first day in Alicia Keys is the first session. I'd never been in the studio.
The first session?
I'd never been in the studio in my life before that moment. Yeah, it's crazy. Like not even in somebody's like low key. I've never been in a studio in my life before that moment. Yeah.
All you had been in was the school studio.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the person who taught me MPC in his basement, while him and his family would be upstairs eating dinner, I'd be in the basement learning how to make beats. But at the Jungle City Studios, Alicia Keys is the first session. That was my first day.
How'd it go?
It was great. I didn't even see her. You know, like she came, showed up, went in one room, and it was like, I'm not even supposed to be in that room. And like, because I came early, I didn't even stay the whole night. So I left by like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock or something like that. And it was great. It was, that was probably the easiest day I ever had there because it was wild being an intern. It was very challenging.
You know, people don't talk about the value of internships enough. Like during your internship, how was it? I mean, were you treated well?
I was treated everything.
That's
real.
Heard that.
I was treated everything. Ultimately well, man, because I learned, you know, like, and I'm still connected with those people today. I'm still in the Alicia Keys family and studio. I still go there with a lot of people who were very crucial to her career, or very crucial to what I know in this business. So, like, yeah, it's everything. You know, it's not one of those things where it's like I intern and it's like I'm still a part of those families. So it did become everything, and it's like it was very challenging. They still challenge me to this day. So yeah, it was great, but yeah, I can't even say it was anything bad because what the tough is what was great.
Yeah. So after you finish your internship, what was the next move?
I got fired.
What happened?
Now, when we interned when it was still legal to not pay interns. I got hired actually. So I went from intern to general assistant, and I even started assistant some sessions. So I wasn't even an intern anymore. So it had been like a year or two. And I actually, wow, I could talk about this now because I had to sign an NDA. I was working on, I was the general assistant for the self-titled Beyonce album. And every day we watched that album be made for like 2-3 months, and like nobody knew that album was being made. It was like the secret release album and all that.
Mhm.
But what really got me fired was up from a particular night from those sessions, and nothing to do with the art that was happening, just the staff within the studio, nothing to do with those sessions that just go viral and some shit like that. But what happened was you're ordering a lot of food for a lot of people, right? And there's probably 5, 6, 7 rooms going. You got the Swizz room, the Tim room, the Dream room, the Kanye room. Like it's going crazy. This is every night. As a general assistant, you're in charge of all the interns now. Like, so now, before I used to go on the runs, now the assistant engineers tell the general assistant, we need McDonald's, we need this, we need napkins. And you look at an intern and you say, oh, this guy's the best with the napkins. Hey, Joe, can you go get the napkins? You're in charge of managing all of this, getting the receipts, closing up, doing the emails, just you're running the show. You're kind of like a manager of the studio.
Yeah.
What happened is we have when they order on budget, studios have credit cards that they then bill and charge a percentage and all. That's business. You go anywhere like order and room service, right? Well, we order their food on that, and because we're ordering so much food every night, the credit card flagged it. That just happens sometimes. They're like, hey, what's this spending? And froze the cards after we paid for at least about $800 to $1,000 worth of dinner in like all the rooms, because every night, for whatever reason, everybody would start to order simultaneously, not knowing, around the same time. So now everybody's orders is canceled at the same time. And through all kind of maneuvering, we get the orders back, and one person order just went over the miscommunication of what we thought versus what they thought, and they didn't have their food. I even paid for the Dreams food by myself out of my own pocket. I'm not gonna say where you order, but everybody who works with them knows. Same thing every time, right? So his engineer has an assistant engineer that I already kind of had some friction with in the staff. Long story short, the next day he threw a fit, and when the studio manager asked me what happened, I threw a fit, thinking I was talking in private to the studio manager about just how I felt about what was going on to me, and they fired me. So in a way, you see why I created a lot of stuff I create, because it was like I didn't even do anything to nobody. Like literally, it was a miscommunication, and we were fighting to get everybody's food, man. We was fighting hard, and they fired me. But the beauty of the universe, I made a good impression on some people, and that happened to be Mike Dean. I got hired 2 weeks later. I started working for Mike Dean and got all these credits and Grammy noms and smoking and making music and getting paid at the same time. When I was running around like a house mouse, couldn't even like speak at one point, so. And not being heard about like where I was coming from with anything. So I kind of got rewarded. I got promoted when I got fired because I was a general assistant, but he made me his assistant engineer. So I got promoted. So yeah, that's what ended up happening with that. So a couple of years later, I ended up circling back and working back with Alicia Keys Camp, which is separate from the studio. And I still work with that studio and have mad love with that studio too. It's just a learning experience.
Yeah.
That staff that happened with, they got fired.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
you've definitely lived a life.
No, for real.
yeah.
So,
And what was good is one of the owners said one time, I heard her talk to somebody else and say, yeah, it was unfortunate that some of the people we had here kind of messed up some people's stay here. But we had to move on from them, and they got rid of them. But I learned a lot from them too.
And know you
A
always
lot.
taken care of too.
Yeah.
Always.
I have like guardian angels in this industry. Yeah. That's a real fact.
but that kind of leads me into my next question. I was going to say, when things have gotten rough or challenging, what has motivated you to continue on? Because you could have just quit.
I got these things that's like moments that when they happen, if you're around me, you'll hear me say stuff like, "That just gave 5 years,"
Mm.
because you don't know how inspirational or motivating that validation or something is. It's like, there's gonna be plenty tough times, but because you know this fact, just stop thinking about that other stuff. That's just you thinking. Stop thinking. When you found out that moment, you wasn't thinking. Typically, it's because somebody else said something, so you received it. So in those bad moments, you gotta shut up and keep receiving. And so when those moments happen, I'm like, that was a deposit right there. But when I can't remember.
Okay. That's
I know I had to digest that for a second.
yeah,
I
I
was
had to
like,
sit with that for a moment because I'm
like,
thinking about the moments it gave me 5 years.
you feel me?
I ain't got no 5 year moments. They gave
The
me
moment that just
5
happened just
days.
gave
That gave me he gave me about a month. Strong
free.
month.
You feel me?
No, that's
Ah,
powerful though. He's right, because during the bad times you gotta circle back to the good times and the things that actually energize you. So that's
yeah,
real.
you don't know you got good times unless you got the bad times.
Come
Yeah.
on.
So,
And I also want to know too, like, what's something that you feel like you had to sacrifice on
Mm.
your journey so far?
comfortability.
Okay.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Tired of ghetto. You talk about
Comfortability
Yeah.
had to go out the window. Yeah, yeah. And that's a good thing,
Yeah,
you
for sure.
know. Every
But let
time
me
I
talk.
felt comfortable was like my biggest, like, maybe brag too much. And I don't say brag too much now, uh, but I also keep that full time forever student part in it,
Mm,
and still know I'm the best.
mm.
Come on.
That silent confidence. I like that. I like that. Strong and stoic.
And
I
it's
like it.
balanced too.
Yes,
Cause you gotta like you gotta know that you're good at what you do.
Right.
absolutely.
You feel me? And you also you have to humble yourself enough to always keep on learning, keep on evolving, and
Yeah.
keep on taking life as it
Yeah.
comes. Also, you feel me?
And when I say I'm the best, it doesn't have nothing to do with anybody because, like they say, perception is reality. So it's like you're not even in this perception. I am the best in my perception. I'm the only thing in my perception. I have to be the best of
Well,
who I am.
Come
the
on.
So
only
that's why I
person
am
that
the
would,
best.
I was gonna say, the only person that would ever have a problem with you saying that is somebody who's insecure about who they are, because we are all the best versions of who we are. So I feel you.
Absolutely,
When you say it, I'm
absolutely.
like, I get it.
Yeah, I was at a uh, A&R. I guess you could say the exec invited me to a listening party, a listening. I guess you could like aux play or whatever. We was playing a bunch of music for A&Rs at an Atlantic um, Warner meeting or something. A bunch of A&Rs in there, so it's a bunch of writers and producers. You could say everybody in there is dope, right? So and he got us going up there one by one in front of like 20 A&Rs and play 3 songs. The first minute of them, so I go up there, and play the songs. After the end, everybody's mingling, and at this point, I was really like embodying like I'm the best producer. It doesn't have, I'm not thinking about them. I don't even know what are y'all doing. I have no idea. I'm doing what I'm doing. I wish I the best, So like as I'm dapping somebody up, I'm like, he's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Stuart. I'm the best producer in New York. And he was like, I am too. And we was like, hey, and then we started talking for like an hour, exchanging. We never collabed, but like I fucks with dude. That was good. That was cool because he should feel like that. He should feel like he's the best. I think I'm better, but I like
But you should. It's healthy competition.
Yeah,
Healthy.
yeah, man. He might smoke me and make me go like, oh, I got work to do.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's what happens when I hear somebody's stuff. Is I'm either gonna if I hear the room, if I know I'm the best, I won't play nothing, or I'll wait to the end.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't think I'm the best, I'll just play whenever because I want to get the feedback of who I think is the best in the room.
100%. Testing the caliber of the room. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to see where I'm at and go work on that.
I do the same thing in certain rooms. If I'm listening to the conversation and I'm like, this is not something I should be engaged in, just let them talk. But if it's something that you feel like you can learn from, ask questions. Yeah, same vibe, same vibe. Okay, so Stu, you have done it all. So now I need to know about Postmodern Club. What is that?
Postmodern Club. So, oh man, been a crazy journey in the music biz, as y'all could hear. So, around this time last year, I was working on. I can't go into details of like we still know some of these people. I was taking a break from industry criteria and routine,
Mm.
and actually, uh, around Christmas time, you don't really have a choice. It's kind of dead. So, where I was really supposed to be taking a break, what I mean is I spent this time last year, like, what do I want to put out? I'm always working on what everybody else want to put out, which you have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a friend of mine that I was already co-producing with, um, and bringing him to those label sessions or industry sessions, you could say, where I was producing, we planned on cooking up, and I told him I'm going to be dropping a project, and he was like, "Well, why don't you come by my crib? We got to set up, and there's a couple artists I'd like you to meet. That's dope." I'm like, "All right." We had a mutual artist that we both was going to work with, and I was like, "Yeah, you should produce on this project that I'm working with this other artist." He's like, "Yeah, bring him over. We'll do both the projects." I'm like, "All right, cool. Go over there. We get some weed, some pizza, Little Caesars. We bought a lot of pizza. We was broke.
Hey,
Sponsor us. Yeah, sponsor
Shout out
this
to
or
that
whatever.
$5 pizza.
Right.
$5
Oh
strong.
my God. So we started cooking. We started making music. And then that just turned into, instead of two projects, it was like, yo, this should just be one project, you know? And that artist was Nakri. I don't know if you guys know Nakri, or met Nakri. He was in Postmodern Club. And the producer that invited me over was Kaiser.
Mm.
So we're chilling like day one or day two, and we smoking and cooking up, and I'm just, ADHD, just talking a mile a minute. Kaiser's just taking it all in. I'm talking about industry stuff. I'm talking about creative stuff, all of this stuff. There's this young lady on the couch just drawing, not saying anything, super quiet, drawing, not saying anything. 2-3 hours go by. But when we start smoking, I'm like, hey, yeah, maybe she smokes. I'll pass the. She's like, all right. Now she's like listening to the music. Then she actually like says something. I'm like, that was a cool idea. And the guy's just like, she does music too. And I was like, why ain't you say nothing? Like, you've been here the whole time. Yeah, if you sing, you write. Come on, jump on the record. That was Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
So as days and weeks progressed, now the idea was we're gonna drop this on Christmas Day. We're gonna do this project. It's compilation, and this was my fuck you to the industry. Like, there's no when you supposed to do stuff and drop. I'm tired of all that, man. Can
Come
I
on,
just
bro.
like create? Can I
Come
create?
on.
So I was so mad. I was so frustrated with that I just wanted to do something, and they were so inspired by it. I was so much older than a lot of them. They start calling me coach. And we had these nights where we walk to the deli. It's 2, 3 in the morning. We come back. We doing vocals, but most of the time would be these long, drawn out conversations of just life and energy and music. And it kind of started because one day, they heard my credits and they was like, "What is it? What is such and such do in the studio?" And I was like, "They do what you do in the studio. They ain't no different than you." And it started this whole thing that we had where like they would ask a lot of questions. And Stephanie was the one that actually like started to bring a notepad and like with
Take
like
notes.
it was inspiring me. She didn't realize. Like, she was
Mm.
inspired, but she was inspiring me to keep going. I was like felt defeated, but when I met them,
Another
but
5
just wanted to
years.
do my own thing
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. So I saw somebody listening and actually using it. And I was like, wow, this is powerful to just speak the truth of what's going on. Be vulnerable with it. So we started talking. One of those nights we talked about if you really present, everybody want to say they do this genre, that genre, that. But if you really present in your craft and you study the history that come before, everything is going to show in your craft. And we not in a modern time. Like that was in like as far as Art Deco, it's like the 50s, 60s. As far as actual music, that's over 100 something years ago. Like modern music, like I guess this was like neo time, but like this is a postmodern time. So kind of like Breakfast Club, because we was breaking dawn all the time. It was like we're the postmodern club that's like we just making music what feels good. So we just
Yeah.
kept saying postmodern club, postmodern club. And I told him about LA so much because I had lived in LA for a while. And so we decided to go to LA during Grammy week because I told him it's just a bunch of events going on. You could mingle with a lot of people and never pay to really go to nothing because a lot of parties going on. They never even experienced a lot that. A lot of them didn't even go to LA. So they decided to we all decided to go to LA. Long story short, we go to LA, have a great time. We made music out there. They have great memories themselves too. I used to live out there, so I was making a lot of connections and working and doing the stuff I was doing. And when we came back, somebody asked us to be a part of a collective show where collectives came together to do a show. And they asked me to bring some of the artists I work with, because as a producer, people know I got a lot of artists I'm working with. And when I gave the 3 artists, they was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Postmodern Club." We didn't even have an Instagram, a logo, or nothing. That was like February.
Had y'all discussed it before you said that? No. Wow.
The 3 people was just the three people that considered themselves Postmodern Club. So it wasn't a lie. It was just like it's Postmodern Club. That's all I got for you. As I hung up the phone, I called one of them and said, "Can you make a logo?" And we sent them something that night. That was our first logo. We rocked with that for like the first 3 months before we got the one we got now. Shout out to Modius for that first logo. It was dope.
And I would like
Still
to
is.
input something right there because what he just said is a big lesson. People think that ideas come together in this formulated fashion, and sometimes they just be a piece of a piece of a piece put together at the right time until it becomes a full idea. So you can't wait for the moment. You just gotta move.
You gotta move. You gotta move. I like to say sometimes when I'm working with artists and they get kind of blocked in their head, I tell them I tell them this thing my Jamaican grandmother says, your room is like your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing you should make your bed every day, get started, right? But like usually when somebody's kind of cluttered or they can't move forward, I'm like, it's like cleaning your room. If you sit there and just keep saying this room is dirty, it's just dirty. But if you pick up one t-shirt, you started the process to making it clean.
Mm.
So just pick up something right now. Start. Next thing you know, you're in a rhythm and now you're singing while you're cleaning. And it's done.
Nice.
Now you might rearrange the room and it's better.
Mm.
Come
So,
on now, still.
hey,
Yeah. Yeah, here driving jewels. Jewels and
Trying
gems.
to,
like,
yeah.
what else is there to say after that one? I don't even know.
I mean, come on now. All right, so the
Like,
Postmodern Club is a collective of artists. Who are all the artists in Postmodern Club?
Okay. So we got Yancey Abril, Y Kaiser, Yumkey 99, Stephanie, Stuart Innis, Jester, Sid Lewis. Yeah, they gotta be Destiny, Ava Westcott. Please, Modius is taking a break, but he's in PMC.
Is
He's
is
good.
is Milk in there? Is her name just Milk?
She might be soon. She just started for me at least. She started coming around.
Okay.
I just met her recently, but there's affiliates. She would be an affiliate. There's probably like maybe 8 or so affiliates, but they're around. We probably haven't had that conversation, but like they're also like just came around.
Yeah.
Uh, she's dope. Really great energy.
Oh,
That's
that's
what
what's
PMC is about, And it basically just like our thing is like what it is like to be in PMC is to just be like selfless, a selfless, transparent artist.
yeah. Yeah.
And you reflect. You're not trying to lock into a genre. You like them all. You like what they all bring. You might do anything because you just, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like your best stuff could be ahead of you. Like who you just because you made something at 25 doesn't mean you have to do anything like that at 35 or vice versa. So why are you talking about you do a genre? You should just tell us how you express yourself.
When I tell you, I feel like so many people need to hear that. Same thing you made at 25, you know, I get at 35.
And
Like,
the industry makes the rules. So when you don't have industry or if you're on your own, you can make your own rules.
Yeah.
right. But you can even do that just from to begin in general.
You can't when
About
somebody else
nobody.
holds the budget. When somebody else got the budget, you a rapper.
Hey,
Yeah,
listen, that's why they ain't holding
yeah,
my budget.
yeah, yeah. Like I saw that a lot when I was an engineer. I worked my way all the way up to engineer too. I didn't stop at assistant engineer. I became a full-time engineer. I was also a Swiss Beats full-time engineer. Um, I worked on Rodeo, Travis Scott first album. I
Yeah.
worked on ASAP Rocky's first album. I worked on Godfather Harlem soundtrack. I recorded Fat Joe, Joel Santana, Rick Ross,
I just want you to know I had a segment where
Russ.
you was gonna do this, but go ahead.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all
Yeah.
good. We in it now. We in it.
Hey,
Go
My
ahead.
bad. Yeah,
You
I
said
recorded
Russ
a
and what
lot of
else?
people. Russ, 6ix9ine, Lewis Hamilton. Um, I've worked on Kendrick's vocals. He wasn't in the studio. The Locks, Nas. I've
like
touched those
recent now.
sessions. So there's a song that Nas has with Swizz on his album Poison that's really fire. And like being his full-time engineer, sometimes I'll just bug out like I'm literally turning this up and down and because you're his engineer, so he's giving you instructions what to do with the session. You might have to bounce stuff, adjust stuff, balance stuff, whatever it may be. There's a list of stuff. And just to sit there thinking like I used to listen to this guy and now I can unmute and mute something like
On
this
his
is the
track.
raw vocal I'm looking at. He's not in the room, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is crazy. This is Nas, this is Kendrick, this is Jadakiss. Like, it was insane. But also it being Swizz, everybody pulled up too, from Busta to Meek Mills to I felt like I was an honorary Rough Rider member because like I had to hat everything. I know a lot of people in Rough Riders that's like the big homies. They looked out. They looked out a lot.
So how did you transition from that space into Gallery Records?
So with everything coming at us crazy, like after we did that show, we crushed the show. Like we was all our acts were like the best acts, and that album I did last year was called Mock Execution because it was a mock execution of the industry. It was my threat to like I will never listen to you guys again. And I wanted to piss off the people that was like around me, like the mentors and stuff. Like I'll just drop music whenever. And what that started along with the show was them seeing a talent that was actually around. And so one of my past mentors at the car dealership called me up and we were talking about everything that was going on and he's seeing the stuff online and I'm telling them what's going on. And he used to check in and just be like, man, you just transitioned from car dealer to this. And he would, root for me and support me like a big homie, big brother. And after he saw that with the Postmodern Club and everything we was doing, he was like, I'll call my lawyer tomorrow, come up with the name. Don't worry about anything. You want to go 50-50? And I was like, sure. Paid for everything. And boom, Gallery Records started.
Dang,
Yeah.
I got the wrong friends. My bad. But okay, dope.
Yeah, that's how I didn't have none of this. I didn't have Postmodern Club planned. I didn't have nothing planned. I just wanted to take a break from the industry and make an album. And now I'm sitting in this Gallery Records studio that one of the investors that pays for it. One of the investors, thank God.
So since the universe has dropped these things, because I'm gonna go back to this with Gallery Records, so hold right there. Since the universe has basically aligned you in all these different places, and you didn't really necessarily have a plan for these things thus far, do you have a plan now of where you want it to go, or are you still kind of open to the universe?
Always open to the universe. I'm always listening and always planning according to what the universe is also telling me. That is the plan.
Okay.
Because I know I'm not gonna have enough ego and pride to say I know what the plan is. I could plan, so therefore I'll be one step ahead when it doesn't go to plan. It's not going to plan ever. You just got to know where you're going to go and then go with that. It's not going to look like what it looked like, but you got to trust it. And if you always just do what's right, you'll get there and you won't feel like you did something you didn't want to do to get there.
You'd have to say
Because,
so.
yeah, and that there is nowhere. Because here is where everything was in the first place. You had to go nowhere.
But me and a friend of mine used to have this conversation about taking the stairs, like being okay with taking the long route in order to keep your dignity, your integrity, and everything intact. Because when you take the elevator, you got to give certain things up, whether you like it or not. It's just a part of the ride.
You're really giving up your safety on that elevator. When I
Yeah.
was 27, I was 27 as an intern, and there was a 19-year-old, God rest his soul, there was a 19-year-old assistant engineer working in the room with Kanye. And one
Mm.
day he looks at me and he's like, man, can't you imagine if you got to do this when you was 19? And I said, man, I'm here right at the right time. Because if I was 19, I would have messed this up.
Fumbled it. Yep. Would have fumbled it.
Man, you don't know who I was at 19. I was a different person. That guy didn't need
100%.
that. That's why I didn't get it at 19.
I don't know if everybody's enjoying this as much as me, but this is a
No,
great convo.
you was not the only one. I'm living right now. We
Listen,
all living right now. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
absolutely.
Appreciate that.
And listen,
So
your
who?
words.
Go ahead, bro.
No. All I was gonna say was, I just want you to know that your words are life, and I don't want you to ever forget that. I don't know what's telling me to tell you that right now, but straight facts, straight up, like don't stop speaking up about what you believe first and foremost. So yeah,
Appreciate
so
that.
that's all I'm gonna
Appreciate
say.
that.
Of course, of course.
So when I said I was going to circle back for Gallery Records, so who's all signed to Gallery? Is it the Postmodern Club or what is it?
So, sorry, industry. We're not signing nobody.
Hmm.
This is a content label, and the content is the product. The artist is not a product. So the artist is a collaborative effort that we put together something. And right now, there's a few artists that's around that has projects in the works, and there'll be plenty more. And they're free to come and go as they please. There's
Mm.
creative directors. Stephanie's one of them, and there's some other people, but that's probably we got to work out some other stuff. So I don't want to put somebody's name out there. I'm safe to could say that.
Right.
But all of those people are very crucial to the process and are super, super, super talented. Super talented. I gotta be on my shit. So yeah, so we're not. I don't believe in signing anybody. I just want to. I kind of like, the. It's funny through my journey through the industry. Every door I thought I wanted to go through, um, that was a dead end. So one of those doors was to get a deal. And then I found out what a deal was. Like thank God I didn't get a deal.
Right.
So why would I do that to somebody?
And like, I think because you and I have talked, so I got to know a little bit more about your collective and your label. It's more than just musicians.
Oh, absolutely. We doing film. Sorry, we doing film, podcasts. We have painters. We have dancers. We have, of course, rappers, singers, musicians, and some of those people are the same people I'm talking about. They're multi-talented. So I would say everybody has at least two mediums they express on.
Mm.
Mine would be visual, film, and music, or film and music, or visual and music these days because things are digital. But there's a lot of people who can sing, dance, write, and play a few instruments. But the only quality that matters, I'm not trying to be cliche hallmark, is that you gotta be a good person.
True. That's real.
Because I
And
work
that
with a
is
lot of
rare.
talented people, and there's some famous people who I spent 15 hours in the South Bronx studio, walk through the projects for you as a famous person, or at least, I don't want to say famous person, but at least a person who booked somebody to do something, and they
Mhm.
gave me $5 and said, "I'll give you the rest tomorrow," and he never called me again. And this is some people's idol as a rapper, big time rapper.
Wow.
So that's what the industry is like sometimes. And I was just like, I don't want no parts of that. I want to create something that's not like that. At least be transparent, because I would have did it for free. That's
Right.
the thing. I'd have been there for free because I grew up listening to this person's music.
Yeah.
I was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
He didn't have to disrespect me though.
Mm.
And
So,
and disrespect is objective or subjective, So, but I felt disrespect.
well, you lead me into the next question. So, what is one misconception that people have about the music industry, in your opinion?
Um, I think people think it's scarier than it is.
Mm.
You know, I don't think they realize how everything's the same. Industry is industry. People are people. There's just people this is just creating something different. The thing but they don't really understand where the fear comes from is there's no HR.
Come on, talk about it.
There's no rules and regulations. You have to lawyer up. It's the streets.
Mm.
In the streets, you got to lawyer up. In corporate world, you could go tell Karen Bob touched you. Bob get fired and probably even lawsuit on him and all kind of stuff. But a lot of people who are turning around and saying people did stuff to them, they also use the situation to get there too. And when it don't work out, they try to blow up the situation they both was trying to use each other. A lot of misusing going on in the industry. So that's where a lot of the fear comes from. But that's why you have to stay grounded within a group of people that you trust and just move like that. And the misconception that a lot of people need to understand, that's like trying to reach out to people that they admire. They in this industry too, and they know. So when they get in their circle, they're just trying to protect themselves. They're not trying to ignore people. They gotta vet themselves. Because one thing people say that's in the industry, you're not in the industry if you're not owed money. That's just the money aspect. So imagine what a female might say. You're not in the industry if blank, or a black guy or a white guy or a Spanish guy might say. Everybody has their blank. So the misconception is you need not to knock on a door where you don't know those people if they have your best interest. You need to water your own grass. And they'll come knock on your door, and you could set the trend of what you want to do better that way, instead of getting eaten up. It don't have to be like that. I would say that's the biggest misconception. I probably said like 8 or whatever.
No, you're good. I just want to add in there, like, because some people could hear this and take what you said the wrong way. We're not victim blaming anybody that's had any type of sexual harassment lawsuits or
Oh,
anything like that.
absolutely.
But
Yeah, absolutely
there are different scenarios where sometimes something is inappropriate, and there are other times when people who use it for their benefit, and we're just distinguishing between the two.
Yes, and
So,
I've seen both, and I don't want to say which one is more, because I wouldn't know that.
mhm,
But it's a one for all kind of thing. You know what I mean? If you're not grounded with
that's
some
real.
people that you could trust, and for the camps I came up with and where I interned and came up with and mentored under, I'm truly, truly grateful for that, because they didn't do any of that stuff to me. They were actually the good people in the industry, you could say. I don't want to say there's bad people. There's just people. People
Mm,
go through life, man, and things happen to them. Some of the worst
yeah,
people out there, if you heard what happened to them, you might give them a hug.
give them some grace. So, Stu, outside of music, who are you? What are you passionate about outside of music?
Breathing.
Okay. Oh, me too.
feels really good. And anything outside of that, if that stops, does not matter. Because I would stop thinking about all of that if I didn't have my breath.
That's right.
I'm just breath and light.
So would you say that you're fully embodied, or would you say that your career is pretty much everything to you?
Um, I'd say it's a byproduct of the circumstances that happened to me, and I'm just being myself. I used to think career, but then that sacrificed it. When I felt like when I did that, that sacrificed the things that matter.
Mm.
And now everything just is just everything. Now I can look at the things that matter and see how they affect the career. So now everything's like the career. So then it's like no career. It's just living.
All right, Stu. All right now.
Just my thoughts, you know.
No,
Trying to
no.
make it through
I
here.
definitely hear
Yeah.
that, bro.
So no, I feel exactly what you're saying.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying. Along your journey, is there anything that you wish you had done differently?
Nah.
No. I figured you were gonna say that.
I'm saying.
I felt it.
Because I feel like, yo, you see how some of these stories, I'm like, yo, I had no control over these things. So like,
Yeah.
who's to say you would like if you went down the block the other way? Who's to say you wouldn't be like, I don't even want to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm fine where I'm at. I'm good with these problems. Mike Epps had a good I like Mike Epps. He had a good stand up and he was like, I guess it was a saying or something where it was like, if everybody put their problems in the middle
Oh
of the
yes.
room
Hmm.
and then like and everybody, you know, you'd be like, shit, I don't want them problems. And you'd be pissed if somebody took your problem and now you got their problem. Like it make you really think like, yo, I love my problems because they make me also who's great.
Yeah. That's
So like I
real.
embrace them. I give them a hug because your gift is your curse. So they're not separate. We live in duality. So
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to the next generation of artists, of people who want to be in music industry?
I would say go with your gut, man. If you like it, that's what it is. You're an artist. Picasso didn't say, should I use green? He just showed you that shit when it was done. And you
Okay.
decide when it's done. So go with your gut. That's it. That's all that matters.
You shouldn't
You're
have
an
said
artist. You're
that.
supposed to be, yeah, well, you know.
Still, now you know that means that thing could go on for years. Because I gotta tweak this and I gotta turn this, and this ain't
No,
loud enough.
no,
This,
there's an art in knowing when to stop.
right.
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you. I was just gonna say nah, because you need to know your limits as an artist too.
You gotta know when to stop. Your gut is telling you when to stop. To me, if you're thinking, you're separated from the art.
Yeah.
And I heard a quote. I don't know the producer, so I don't want to mess it up. But he said, I think it was Alchemist, which was a producer I looked up to growing up. He said, "I know the beat. I know the beat is done when I get emotional because I know I'm the part of creating it is over." I was like, "Wow." And for me, it's when I'm working on something, especially in the beat process, the early process. That doesn't mean the song is done, but I get into like a celebratory moment. I could be walking around the room. I stop adding and I start enjoying it.
Mm.
And then there's a depressed feeling of the only way to get this is to do it again.
Came to an end.
Yeah. So I don't even remember what the question was.
It don't matter. That's a good answer. So, Stu, what is your personal motto? What are the words that you live by?
Do something for somebody, man, for real. Like every day, if you're around me, you'll see me making jokes with people random on the street. Because I feel like, man, you could keep a person from committing suicide. Like, just do something for somebody. Just try to do what's right. It's okay to make a mistake, but don't do wrong by somebody. That's evil. That's not a mistake.
Yeah.
That's what I live by. Because I'm learning.
Stu, we appreciate you for coming on. Give everybody your
Man,
socials and any projects you have coming up.
so I actually don't have a personal social, but you could find me on Spotify, Apple, all the platforms for all the stuff I did, whether it be engineering, whether it be production. But you could find us at Gallery Records. I think there's an underscore in there. Sorry. And seven Postmodern Club 7. The 7 is just a divine number. There's no other correlation to that. But we have the answer to Mock Execution and our anniversary album coming out Christmas Day. And we also do a poetry slam every Saturday, and we also do a concert. I mean, every first Saturday of the month. And we also do a concert series and an open mic at Space Gallery that's in Bushwick, where we kind of like trying to build the home in Brooklyn and just kind of like build the community from there and not try to knock on Netflix and Spotify door. Sorry, but before we even try there, let's try to make sure the people in the neighborhood know.
So that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. It's dope. It's dope. And I've been to the space. The space is phenomenal. Very creative. Very great energy. So, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Again,
you
my name is.
so much. I really, really appreciate it. Like, this gave me 8 years, maybe. No
Hey,
lie, no lie, no lie.
I'm not
I
as
held back
evolved
some
as you.
tears. I'm not gonna lie. I held back some tears.
Bro, I
I
felt
didn't
it.
think about some of this stuff before. I
Right.
haven't. You're present. So like, I really appreciate you guys. This was great. This was a blessing.
Hey,
You
man.
know what? I've been looking back through the vault lately, and I'm like, I listen to some of those episodes for inspiration sometimes, and you don't realize what parts of your life are gonna bless somebody else. So we appreciate you for coming on here and being transparent, because that's really what this is all about, is tribe. Because
Man.
what I mean, when you're going through these different obstacles, chasing these dreams, getting into these careers, it's a lot of things that become stumbling blocks and things happen that people don't ever talk about. So and
Yeah.
that part of your story is gonna build somebody else and give them the energy to get their 8 years, their extra 5 years.
I hope so. I know so. I know so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what
Man,
happened with me. Thank you.
I'm T Hardaway,
And I'm Michael Bassell.
and we are the Did It for the Hood podcast.
Indeed.